friends. This video is sponsored by Penguin Platform. I will be talking about books and Mental Health Awareness Week, which combines two of my favorite things, reading and oversharing. Obviously, I'm kidding. Talking about mental health openly is important and we should all be doing it if we feel comfortable. I've talked about it before, but I have anxiety. It's relatively manageable. I go to therapy for it. As I always say, I really recommend talking to somebody about it if you are experiencing mental health problems. I know it's not always easy, especially in places where healthcare is not free, but in the UK you can go through the NHS to get counselling and therapy. So yes, if there's any way that you can do anything like that, I would recommend it. Got some books here that I'm hugging closely to my chest. They all deal with aspects of mental health and I think they are all brilliant. I definitely feel like reading about other people's experiences of mental health really helped me understand my own mental health and helped me understand that things I didn't think were to do with anxiety or the way my brain worked definitely were. Also, it's just so nice knowing that other people are going through the same kind of stuff that you are. Having those moments where you go like, oh, this isn't just me, other people feel this way. They're so important. One time I had a conversation with a family friend about this thing that I do sometimes where I kind of like lean on a muscle in my bum and then like fall off it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but if you do it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. There's just like this little muscle ridge or something that you can kind of like lean on and then drop off it. Listen, it's real. Anyway, I had a conversation about that with one of my parents' friends and they were like, yeah, I do that. And I was like, what? It's not just me, we're all bum ridge people. Anyway, imagine that, but about mental health. The first book that I want to talk about is a collection of comics. It's by Ali Brosh. You probably will recognize some of these even if you haven't actually read the comics because there are memes that come from her comics like the do all the things one. I was obsessed with these comics when she was putting them online. Unfortunately, she doesn't really do that much anymore. Lots of them are like funny, silly, honest stories from her childhood about like how she became the person that she is. I so distinctly remember when this comic went up. It's called Depression Part 1. There was a gap when Ali wasn't putting comics online and then she put one up which was about depression. I know that it hit home for so many people who have suffered with mental health problems. Even when she's talking about her darkest moments, she still somehow manages to be funny. Anyway, Hyperbole and a Half is just great. I would really recommend it. Even if you don't suffer from mental health problems, it can really help you get inside the mind of somebody who does and understand depression a little bit more. The next book that I wanted to talk about is Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. This is one that's aimed more at a younger audience. It's about the experience of being a teenager with extreme general anxiety and social anxiety. It also covers depression, bullying. I feel like I've read a lot of books in the past and did when I was a teenager where the protagonist was a little bit anxious or a little bit shy. But I love this because it's about a teenager with quite serious anxiety problems. Like she is struggling to leave the house. She's not high functioning at the beginning of this book. I experienced a kind of minor physical attack by a group of other kids in my hometown when I was about 14 and I really struggled to leave the house for a while. I was terrified to go out in public. I was relatively lucky because it didn't take me that long to get back out there in the world, but yeah, this really hit home for a lot of reasons. If you're around my age, I'm 25 now, I wouldn't be put off by the fact that this is for younger readers because the writing's just really nice and funny. Good job. The last book that I wanted to talk about is H is for Hawk. I didn't realize this was non-fiction until about halfway through the book. I should have known. I should have done my research, but I didn't really want to find out anything about it before reading it. All I'd heard was that it was good. I think it speaks volumes that I thought this was fiction because I think it's just quite beautifully, poetically written. Because it is non-fiction, it doesn't have that kind of very structured plot, but I still really felt like I was getting swept up in the story of her life and how she deals with the death of her father and that grief. She's someone who's always been interested in hawking and birds of prey, and she channels her grief after her father's death by getting a goshawk. It's a type of hawk that's big and it's meant to be really hard to train. And yeah, it's all about her relationship with her hawk, with other people, with herself, and with the author T.H. White, who wrote Sword in the Stone, and his relationship with his hawk. So it's basically like a layer cake of birds and writers and their relationships with themselves. It is rare that after you read a book, you feel like you know more about the process of grief and also about how to properly train a hawk. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. So those are kind of my Mental Health Awareness Week themed recommendations. I'd love to know if you have any recommendations for books that you think deal really well with mental health. Let me know in the comments below. I created a video over on Penguin Platform to talk about the little things that I do every day to help me with my anxiety. Spoiler alert, one of them is reading. So there is a link to that in the description and at the end of this video. Please subscribe to Penguin Platform if you are so inclined. They make videos about books and interesting discussions and they have recommendations every week. There's books. Who doesn't like books? Hope you're all well. Look after yourselves. Goodbye.